Hey, this is Anthony from mycodeteacher.com, and in this lesson, I'm going to build on a Hello World application created in a previous lesson. So, in the original Hello World application, we created a really basic Hello World application for the iPhone in which some red Hello World text was displayed on a white screen. So, on the desktop here, I have that original Hello World Xcode project. So, I'm going to open that. And here we have the main Xcode window. So if we build this application, just to refresh your memory or to show you what it does if you haven't seen the original Hello World lesson, we can see that all it really does is display some Hello World text that, in this case, happens to be red. So here you can see on a white screen, so on the background here is a UI window instance, which is white. In the middle is the text Hello World in red. So if we just go over again how exactly that works, we have in our interface builder file a UI label instance called Hello World label, and using code in the application did finish launching method, we set the text property of the Hello World label to Hello World with an exclamation point, and we set the text color to an instance of UI color which contains the color red. So in this lesson, we're going to basically take this to the next level. We're going to add some new functionality to our application and make the Hello World application a little bit more complex. So first I'm going to open the main window.zip file. And again, if we look at what's going on here, we've got, this is our instance of UI window in the background. So if I close and reopen, you can see that this is the main UI window instance, which, if you look at the connections panel, is connected to the window instance variable of the Hello World App Delegate class. So again, this is the Hello World App Delegate instance that we're using for the main functionality, and it has an instance variable called window, which is an instance of UI window, and it has been directly connected to this instance of UI window here. And then in the window, centered vertically and horizontally, we have an instance of UI label, which is connected to the Hello World's Hello World label instance variable. So both of these are interface builder outlets. So first, we're going to use a instance of UI button to make the Hello World text appear. So here we've got the library window or panel. If you don't already have that open, you can navigate to Tools, Library, and this will open the library window. Then here we have all the UI elements that we can create instances of to create a user interface for our application. So to create the label, we simply dragged and dropped. We're going to do the same thing to create an instance of UI a button. So hold down your mouse on UI button, drag and drop into the UI window. Doesn't matter at all what size it is. So here we have an instance of UI button. As you might imagine from the name of the class, which is again UI button, this is just a button that performs some action or sends a message to an object that tells that object to do some action when it's pressed or when any of these events happen. So here is a list of events that the UI button instance will respond to. So for example, touch down would be when a user puts their finger on the button. Touch up inside would be when a user pushes down the button and then releases their hold on the button from inside or from within the button. And then touch up outside would be if the user lifts their finger in an area outside the button. So there's a wide range of events that we can have this button respond to, and simply dragging from the circle on the right of the event type to the action we want it to tell an object to complete, we can have this button perform some action. So first we actually need to tell Interface Builder that there is some action we want a button to be able to use to have something happen. So we're going to create a new method here. A method, again, is just some block of code that performs some action when we're in an instance of the class that the method belongs to is told to do that action. So the dash indicates that this is an instance or a instance method. Again, an instance method is a method that will deal with instance variables of that class. So again, instance methods can only be executed by instances of a class, as opposed to class methods where you don't actually have to create an instance of that class to execute that code. So the return type IBAction actually means void, but it's just to indicate to Interface Builder when it runs through this file that it should display this as a possible action for some other interface element to tell Hello World App Delegate to do or to execute. So we'll name this method display hello world text. And so now, if we save this file and go back to Interface Builder, you can see that if we drag from, we're going to use TouchUp Inside to the Hello World delegate, there is display hello world text. So now, if we connect this, when a user touches up or releases from this button from within it or the inside, this button, instance of UI button, will send a message to Hello World App Delegate telling it to execute the code implemented in the display hello world text method. So now let's actually fill in the code for that. So first, let's comment out these lines because we want the application not to display hello world when the application first launches. Now let's actually implement our method. In parentheses again, IBAction display hello world text. And so now let's display the hello world text. Again, we're using the text property, which takes an instance of NSString. Close the method implementation with ending curly brace, and let's build this. So now, when the application first launches, the label displays simply the text label, and then when we click the button, it changes the text to Hello World. So, in case this had confused you the first time, when a UI label instance has its text property changed, it automatically redraws itself in its super view and redisplays its text. So you don't have to tell the UI label to display its text over or to redraw itself. It does that automatically when its text changes. Just to bring the point home, let's change the color of the text. Again, we do this using the text color property, which takes an instance of red color, and so we call to the UI color class, we call the red color method, which returns an instance of UI color which contains the color red. And so the text color property will read from this instance of UI color its color and use that to display itself in that color. And there we have red text. You can give your button a title simply by double-clicking inside the button and typing the title. Now, let's allow the user to input some text that they want to be displayed in the Hello World label. So instead of simply displaying Hello World when the button's clicked, we're going to extract some text or a string from a text field and display that in the label. So if we go back to our library panel here, you see there is an interface element called UI text field, which is simply a text field or an input field. So now the UI text field does a lot of work for you. For instance, when a user taps in it, it automatically knows that a user is about to start typing, and so it automatically brings up the keyboard. Now, we need to create a new interface builder outlet and connect that to the text field so that when the display hello world text method is called, we can extract the text or the string that exists inside the text field. And so if we save this and go back to Interface Builder, we can see that our Hello World app delegate now has a new instance variable or a new outlet called main text field. So we're going to drag to the text field and it is now connected. Now let's go to our implementation of display Hello World text and comment out what we have here. If we go to the docs and look up UI text field, you can see that much like a label, a UI text field also has a property called text. And calling to this property will return the text that is currently existing inside of the UI text field. So we're going to use that property to extract the text. So hello world label text equals main text field text copy. The copy method is a method that we send to the instance of NSString that's returned when we call to the text property, and as you might expect, it just makes a copy of that instance of NSString. So now, if we build this, we click display hello world text. Since we've entered nothing in the text field, nothing's displayed. So now, if we click in the text field and type in something, there we have it. Hello world again, or what we've entered in the text field, is displayed. So you can see with a few interface elements or UI kit elements and some basic connections, we can create a pretty complex Hello World application and do some pretty complex actions. So you can see from this application here that the Cocoa Touch framework is very, very powerful and makes developing with it very, very easy for developers. A lot of the back-end work is done for you, and you don't have to take care of a lot of the annoying things that the Apple developers have already done. So that concludes this lesson. I'm Anthony from mycodeteacher.com, and I will see you next time.